Good morning. After doing the left recursion and left factoring, we are coming to the next topic as what top-down parsing. So for doing this construction, for this reason only we discussed about how to eliminate the recursions and the factors. Okay, so for constructing the top-down parsing, first we need to do the elimination, and then we need to find the first and follow for the non-terminal variables, and then we need to construct the parsing table. Okay, so in this video I'll just explaining how to find the first and follow for the given grammar. Okay, so already we discussed about left recursion and left factor. So this is a production rule I taken. So E tends to E plus T, T tends to T star F, and F tends to open E. Okay, so in this case, if a production rule is given like this, means the first step what we need to do here is we need to rewrite the production rule. So E tends to E plus T, then E tends to T, then T tends to T star F, and T tends to F, and F tends to E, and F tends to ID. Okay, so after doing this we are finding so for doing the top down parsing, this is the first step. What is the next step we need to do? Eliminate the left recursion and left factor. Okay, so in this case what is the thing we need to do here? So here we have many common elements, so we need to go for recursion. Okay, so here because E and T tends to T, so repetitive elements are here, so we need to eliminate the recursive element. Okay, so after doing the recursion we will get the actual grammar as what E tends to T E dash. Okay, and E dash tends to plus T E dash slash epsilon. Okay, and T tends to F T dash, and T dash tends to star F T dash slash epsilon. Okay, and F tends to E slash ID. Okay, so because here we don't have any repetitive elements, so we will get the expression as it is. Okay, so after doing the elimination, this is our final production rule. Okay, now we need to calculate the first of all non-terminal. So these are our non-terminals. Okay, so we need to find first of E, then we need to find first of T, then first of F, and then first of E dash, and then first of T dash. Okay, so here the first of E, how to calculate first of E? So if you go to the production rule E, it's pointing to the first terminal as what? First variable as what? T. It's a non-terminal variable. So we are going to the T production rule. So the T is, so then what we need to do? So first of E I need to calculate, means first I need to know what is first of T. Okay, so first of T not yet calculated. So if I want to calculate find first of T, means if I go to the T production rule, the T is pointing to the first variable is what? F. So it is a non-terminal variable. Okay, so I need to find what is first of F then. So first of F we not yet calculated, so we are going for first of F. So first of F is actually having two production rule, right? So F tends to open bracket E close bracket and then ID, right? So the F is pointing to the first variable as a terminal variable bracket, that is open bracket, and then another variable is what? ID. Okay, so first of F is open ID, means then first of T also what? Open ID, and first of E also what? Open ID. So why? Because E points to T, then T points to F, and F points to this two terminal variable. So that's the reason F of first of F is equal to first of T, first of T is equal to first of E. Okay, now we are going for E dash. So first of E dash, so first of E dash is pointing to a two variables. There is two variables here. One is plus and another is epsilon. So the first of E dash is plus and epsilon. Okay, then first of T, again that is T dash. So T dash having two production rule. So in the first production rule, the first starting is what, star, and another one is epsilon. So the T dash is star comma epsilon. So this is the final output of first of all non-terminal variable. Okay, now we are going to calculate follow. Okay, so the condition for calculating formula is, there are three conditions. The first condition, if you are going to find follow for the starting production rule, then it must include the dollar symbol. Okay, second rule, if you are going to calculate follow for B, and after B if you are having any other variable means, then the first of this beta will be the value of first of B. Okay, so first of beta, that is fine, we need to find first of beta, then the follow of B equal to first of beta. Okay, so what we calculated for this first of beta will be will be considered for this follow. Okay, then if you are having a production rule like this A tends to alpha B, and I need to find follow of B means, then in this case what I calculated for follow of A will be assigned to this follow of B. Okay, so I'll give you one example. Just take the production rule, this production rule. For this we will find what is follow. Okay, so here we are going to find follow of first variable is what, follow of E. Okay, so in the follow of E, the set should, what is the first condition? If I consider, we are going to calculate follow for the starting production rule means, then the set must consider that the set must included with the dollar symbol. So due to that reason we are including the dollar symbol first in the case of follow of E. Okay, so if you come to this production rule where we are having E, we are having E here only. Okay, follow of E means after E what is the variable we have. So in this case after E we have a one terminal symbol, so we are including the terminal symbol. So we don't have E in any of our other expression. Okay, so in the E case we need to consider the resultant production. To find the follow we need to consider the resultant production. So in the resultant production we don't have E in any other place except this location. So after E we have this close bracket, so we are including in our set, and this is our follow set for follow of E. Okay, next we are going for follow of E dash. Okay, so follow of E dash, here we have E dash in two expression. So E tends to T dash and E dash tends to plus T dash. Okay, so we need to consider this only. So this is like our third production rule. So to find follow of E dash we need to take E tends to TE dash. Okay, so this is like our third rule, that is A tends to alpha B. Okay, so if you have a condition like this means, what is the formula is saying, then we need to take follow of A will be the set of follow of B. So in this case E dash, for follow of E dash, what we calculated for E, that will be same for our E dash. Okay, so the follow of E dash is, we need to consider the set what we consider for follow of E. So it will be dollar and close. Okay, so because of this reason we taken this follow of E dash as what, dollar and close. Okay, now we are going to calculate for follow of T. Okay, so in T again we need to go to the production rule. We are having T in this two production rule. Okay, so I will be taking E tends to TE dash. Okay, so in this case this is like our second rule, A tends to alpha B beta. Okay, So for this we need to calculate means what I told you, we need to take. So in this case I want to find follow of B means, in this scenario what we need to take, we need to substitute first of B to follow of B. Okay, so in this case T E dash means we need to consider first of E dash. So what is first of E dash? We calculated first of E dash as what? Plus and epsilon. So it will be plus and epsilon. Okay, so in this E dash, if you substitute this epsilon in E dash, if you substitute this epsilon, then this expression will be like this. Okay, so this is like our second expression, right? So A tends to alpha B. So in this case, if this is a condition, then what we need to take? We need to take follow of E. Okay, so in our scenario, if this, in this case we need to consider follow of E also. So follow of E is what? The follow of E is dollar and close. So therefore follow of T equal to, follow of T equal to, the set consists of plus, okay, so instead of this epsilon we will include this dollar and close. Okay, so this is a way we will be calculating the follow for the non-terminal variables. After doing all these things, then we need to go for the parsing table construction. Okay, so the same thing you need to follow, you need to use the same steps to find follow of F. Okay, so thank you.